something about your family?
Y'all speak up now, we'll never hear you.
Well, my parents was Polk and Nancy Lafferty Brennan. And they had, my brothers and sisters was Richard. He's born in 1895. I left this paper. And he married Julie Wallen. They had 2 children, Jack and Toby. Joe was born in 1900 and married Corey Lafferty. And they had 3 children, Dee, Frank, and Josephine. John was married to Lurie, which we've known as Peg Fraley, and they had 3 children, Tom, Opal, and Barbara. But his first marriage was to Charlie Work's sister, Eddie. And they had 1 girl, Ruby, which we grew up together, and she's about the only sister that I know.
And was
her
she
more than any of them.
Was she about your age?
They were all married, and I'm 5 years older than her.
And
Her mother died in childbirth, and my mother raised her. And all my sisters were married at the time that she was growed up with me.
Oh, really? But can you tell us about how come she came to live with you, what you said whenever she was born?
Well,
Yeah, tell about that.
She was born at Martin. And Jew, she was related to Jew. And she wanted her. So my mother wanted her, and John wanted my mother to have her. And so they got upset, Jewel did. So they was there on Sunday when they brought her in, and Jewel got mad and went home because she didn't get the baby. Well, my mother raised her up until she was about 15, I think it was, when she left home and went to Dayton to work. And the next one was Dee, and he was married to Essie Garrett, and they had 2 children. Lena, June, and Jean Paul. Then Ernest was born in 1910. He married Oprah Lafferty, and they had 3 children, Clifford, Ben Lou, and Sharon. Turner was married, but he never had any children. But he adopted 1 and raised about 3 other of his wife's. He married Goble. And Jay was married to Callie Simmons. 1917 he was born. They had 1 son. His name's Paul Henry. Janelle knows. About the same date of birth were
Yeah, he was August the 1st.
And of course I was next in 1900. We had 11 children. I don't know that though. I went to Dwell Elementary School and quit in the sophomore year. Worked at the restaurant there at Clyde Spurlock's for about 3 months, $3 a week.
What'd you do?
Well, I'd get up there about 6 o'clock in the morning, take care of 2 kids. She had 2 kids, so take care of them. Sometimes walk them over to Allen to school when they didn't have a way to go. And then I did housework and worked in the restaurant. When I wasn't working near, done ironing and stuff. Worked in the restaurant, and we closed the restaurant down at 12 o'clock at night. And then we'd clean up, what they call clean up, after they closed the restaurant, and worked about an hour and got in bed about 1 o'clock.
Now, you lived over at Dwayne at the time, right?
At that time.
And you took the kids to school over to Allen?
Yeah, but
How'd you get them over there?
I stayed at the restaurant there at Allen in the Y. Stayed with them.
Okay.
Stayed, and well, I could get 1 day off, but I went home sometimes with them. I usually stayed 7 days, night and day there, and worked.
How'd you get back and forth across the river?
I would walk around by Allen when I did go home, down the railroad track. Walk down the railroad track, and up the holler at Dwell where Ernest lives.
Well, were you dating Daddy then?
Yeah. So that's when I quit that place, we decided to get married, and how come we quit?
Yeah, I told you we would get married. You go home and I'd come home.
Yeah, Crow worked at
Leaving for Bill.
we decided to get married, and we didn't want to tell nobody. We wanted to keep it a secret because my dad was so strict on us. He didn't allow us to date. Nobody, as I know of, ever come to see one of his daughters but Troy. He was just so strict. He wouldn't let us. He didn't want us to wear lipstick, didn't want us to cut our hair, wear fingernail polish. Troy, I guess, liked that pretty good. Miss Hall was Miss Hall was just like him.
Oh,
His
my.
mother was the same way. She was
Yeah.
that strict too.
Well,
No.
Except some of the boys came though to see her. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Then we moved, we got married on December 23rd. Went to Isaac Stratton's. He was gone, so we went to come back with John Pag with us as witness, and we went to dwell in Uncle Johnny Nelson married us.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Church of God minister there at Dwell. And of course, my brother married his granddaughter, Callie. Children, none of them know that. My brother married Johnny Nelson's granddaughter, Callie Simmons.
Really? That was, I didn't know that.
Her mother married a Simmons, and they,
Oh.
it was Jay, so he went to the war. The other one. And of course, you want to know what I wore at the wedding?
Yeah.
I had the black silk dress, black shoes, hat, gloves, and a little high coat. Then we moved to Robinson Creek and stayed there around 3 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay.
At a logging job.
Did you like that house at Robinson Creek?
No.
What was it like?
It was more like a barn, wasn't it?
Well, a lot like a barn.
What
Didn't have
kind
no
of,
ceiling in it up here. So Troy went to Bill Hall's, crossed a big long mountain, and went to Bill Hall's store and got the big rolls of, looked like roofing, wasn't it? Building paper is what it's
Building
called.
paper.
And had little round things that you put the building paper up with, nailed it to, made a ceiling out of it, so the heat wouldn't go on up. Then we got a roll of roofing and put on the kitchen floor, didn't we?
Both floors. Both floors.
Had cracks in the floor.
Both floors.
And this
my goodness?
roofing was what they use now under shingles. Big
Oh
rolls.
my gosh.
Just felt paper.
Felt.
Felt
We
paper.
put that on the floors in order to keep warm, and we had a pot-belly stove, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
Did you have any furniture?
one bed, and then later Holly come to help with the logging, and he brought a bed, and he had in another room, and it was, water would freeze in the kitchen. So we had a bed, and of course he told about trading a pig to had radio. And we come home about every weekend, though. Don't come to Allen every weekend.
Did you come to Poppy and Mommy's, or did you?
Trade a pig to a radio. What's that story about?
Traded a pig. We had a pig. And
Where'd
we didn't have no radio, but he traded that pig and got us a radio.
Where did you get the pig?
A bread. Where did we get the pig?
Papa gave it to him.
Oh, I thought he might have stole the pig.
No, he gave it to me. Papa did. And I was in raised pigs, a bunch of hogs, and she eats pigs.
Yeah, we went.
She eats pigs.
Who did?
We go every weekend.
The hog did.
Oh my
We
gosh.
went every weekend to Allen, and while we were gone, while that hog had pigs and eat.
Oh my gosh. They do that.
So what did we do to trade the pig off? We got a radio. A battery radio.
Yeah.
Well, I had a Newsom boy lived right out from us. He would come and water it and feed it and things like
Yeah.
that. But, you know, it's, so it's, but now,
Then we moved from Robinson Creek after 3 months and lived in the house there at Riley's. Stayed with them until they built a house that was torn down at Wolf Pit and brought it to Allen and built us a new house out of old lumber, rather.
Yeah.
And we stayed there. Troy Jr. and Janelle Monroe was born in that house. So Troy got hurt, and I said, looked like we were just sent off up there to die. Bought a farm. Couldn't take care of the farm. He had his head injured. But we moved up there, and we done pretty good.
Where was that?
Cattle to Salisbury.
Okay.
And stayed up there with Ann, and Helen's born in that old house. She was 1 month old when we moved. We were supposed to have moved earlier, but they didn't get out of the house at Allen, Riley's house, for us to move in. So the people that we sold out to, Tivis Littles was his name, Littles, they moved in on us.
I remember.
And we all stayed one night there in that old house. And Helen was a month old, and we moved back to one of Riley's houses that he rented to Emmett Tackett. They moved out and let us have that house.
Mhm.
And we stayed there. Let's see, there's,
48.
48, we moved.
48.
Mhm.
And Troy hauled hay. We had a garage, and I'd take care of the hay, sell hay while he was hauling. Made some money that way, and then we moved to the old home place, Martin's old home place. Bought it. He and Riley bought it together. And James, that was James Kenneth. That was just a month before he was born. And he was the first one that was born in the hospital. All the
Really?
rest of them were born at home.
Yeah.
And all of us were born at Prestonburg except Mike, and he was at Pikeville.
Were they delivered by doctors or midwives?
Yeah, not doctors. I never had a midwife.
Never?
Mm-mm. Some people did. But I never had a midwife. We got them by Dr. Martin over in Allen, and he charged $35 to deliver a baby. And 25, some 25. Got him, and then Phyllis was born by Dr. Kelso from the hospital, Beaver Valley Hospital, and then some was born by Dr. Mayo, below Martin.
Did they give you any anesthetic back in those days when they had babies? You remember them giving you anything?
They had, some of them they held something on the nose.
Ether or something?
Either or something like that, but if it helped, I couldn't tell.
No.
It's painful. Of course,
Well, can you tell us about that little house? Because Betty Lou said that you were, Betty Lou said you bought furniture for that house at Allen. It was beautiful.
well, that was the new house built for us out of the old house I was telling you about.
Mhm.
And of course, we didn't have the money to buy furniture. And I was so embarrassed for anybody to come and with no furniture. And I decided that, like some of the rest I'd heard of them had done, order stuff and then pay so much a month on it. So I ordered some stuff, and Law, they really didn't like it, did they? Troy's mom said, Law, they believe when you bought something, don't buy it unless you had the money. Well, we ordered that, and we had a settee with 2 chairs, rocking chairs to it, and we ordered a table. Pat's got the table now.
Mhm.
And we had a safe to put our dishes in. We called it a safe. It was a little cabinet. And ordered a bedroom suit too, didn't we?
Yeah.
With a little dresser, 3-piece chest, dresser, and bed.
Dining room suit too.
And
Dining room
a
suit.
table with 4 chairs. And a kitchen cabinet to put in the kitchen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That held the flowers there. And Troy had the old man Hall up there at Banner. What was his name?
Keenest Hall.
He made us a little table for the kitchen and a set of quilting frames. At the same time, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I built a swing and another seat on the porch.
We soon paid that off. We got us a refrigerator from Henry Porter,
Herman.
Herman. And I think it was $35, wasn't it?
It was Crossley, we give 110. No charge, no carrying charges, but it was $110. John Dad had bought one, and he told us that it was $110, $110. So we went and we went over and bought us one of them.
Paid so much a month for it.
Yeah.
And I was wanting, I was wanting to defrost it.
Another one, the one we had before.
And had a knife or something prizing up in top to get the ice off. And as I said, I ruptured it. I cut
Oh.
Stuck the line?
stuck it off in it.
Cut a hole in it.
Ooh, the smell of that gas came out, and so we had to get another one, didn't we? And that taught me a
That's when we
lesson.
got the new one.
I never did that no more. Got to get that ice away. And what else?
Well, you tell me about the rest of your brothers and sisters then. You got down to John and Peg.
Well, I told him about being nurse though. I'm married.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Not yet. Go ahead.
Well, the family, what they all died in the 1900s. My family did, and I was raised up as the next to the baby in my family, and he was raised up to the oldest one in his family.
Yep.
Family of 12.
That's right.
Each
I
of
was
you.
the 11th one. The 12th one died, and she was a baby with scarlet fever.
And what was her name?
Eddie
But y'all called her.
Medley because that was my uncle, and he had a blacksmith shop right down below our house, and he let me go and wind this around to make the sparkles. And he turned the horseshoes, made them to fit the horses and shoe horses. And I helped him so much and thought so much of him that when she was born, I named her Medley, and she went with that name. And
Do you know how old she was when she died?
well, she got 3 years old.
3 years.
She died of scarlet fever. So Dick, I reckon he had heart disease killed him. They all lived to be in their 70s and 80s though.
Yeah.
And Joe, of course, he had liver trouble and had lots wrong with him, and he
Yeah.
was alcoholic too. John had a brain tumor and he died with that. And Dee, he had, of course, bone cancer.
Heart trouble too.
Ernest had lung cancer, and I reckon Turner had it too. And Jay was killed in war,
World War II.
and Eddie died when she was just a baby with scarlet fever. So, I guess that's pretty. Oh, my grandparents. You take them?
Yeah.
My grandparents was Joe and Susan Gerald Lafferty. They was married in 1877. And my mother was the oldest one. Of course, she married my daddy. They had 12 children. Surrey Ann was born in 1880. She married Lafferty and had 4 children. Angeline was born in 1886 to Lafferty, and she had 5 children. Liza was 1889, and she married Gary, had 2 children. Aunt Betty was married to Lafferty. She had 2 boys and 2 girls. Tensie was in 96. She's still living. Oh, that was little Tensie is.
Yeah.
The one I call
Yeah,
little
little
Tensie.
Tensie's lady.
And of course, Aunt Tensie, she had 1 girl and 1 boy, and there was only 1 boy, and his name was Lou. He was born in 84, and he married a Hignite, and they had 1 child, Opal. Then they had one that was deceased, Clark, 1882, and Walter in 1893. And my grandfather was a Methodist minister for over 50 years. And he often walked and went by horseback to several places for his revivals.
Great.
My father, his parents I never knew. They died when he was just a kid. He was raised by his brothers, and I only knew 2 of them, Uncle Dee and Uncle Joe. And he had a brother named Saul and Turner and 1 sister named Eddie.
Oh.
She lived at Catlettsburg. I only seen her 1 time.
Well, now, Uncle Joe, was he the one that married that Daisy Miller?
And Uncle Dee married Will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was something else too.
What did she do?
Was she a moonshiner?
Well,
No.
Yeah.
He was.
He
He
was a
was, and
He was. And
they
she
didn't
was.
get along, but she could
Like
curse
that.
and, huh?
She's not like that.
Yeah, she really,
She did what?
she would come to her house all night and tell some of the wildest and scariest tales I ever heard.
Would-
She said there was a panther over there on top of the hill,
Where
and
they
that
make
was where he
moon-
had his moonshine still. She didn't want nobody in there. And we always went there to pick blackberries. And she come out and would shoot.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't want nobody back in there.
Yeah.
Well, then, of course, we moved to Salisbury. That's when Troy was injured.
Right.
And
Do you remember what month that was? That he was injured? Was it August?
About March or something of
you,
it, yeah.
you got injured though in August. You got injured in August.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Salisbury in March.
Oh, so you all lived at Allen when he got injured,
Mhm.
and then you moved to Salisbury in March.
And of course, when he got injured, he stayed 17 days, nights in the hospital. And I stayed with him 16, all but one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before Monroe was born.
So you were pregnant at the time too?
And I guess I had it harder than he did. He was laying in bed, and
He was
The doctor-
sleeping.
the doctor was so good to us, Dr. Stubbo and all of them was, that they had me a bed right in there right beside him. Every night we put our bed right beside Troy, my bed. And then on the ninth day when he struck, I thought he was having a lockjaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped to put my fingers in his mouth. I thought it was one and I was screaming too, and the nurses came to me, but he had a stroke. But when his mouth twisted around like that, the only thing I could think of was, at that time, was lockjaw.
Right.
And I started putting my fingers in his mouth. Thought that might help, but the nurses got to me.
Yeah. So,
And that night I didn't get to stay with him because he was really, they thought it'd be best if I didn't stay. So I went home, and Ruby stayed with my children and my mother.
That's Ruby Fraley?
She was with us when the Northern Lights,
Tell us about the Northern Lights.
well, everybody was scared to death. But that Spurlock, we couldn't get scared because Troy was in bed with his head tied up. He kept that band around his head for I don't know how long. When they took it off for the first time, there was scales come off and all
Yeah.
around his head. So Ruby stayed with us, and Monroe was born on the 4th.
Yeah.
3 days old. But Spurlock run the restaurant. He come up on where we lived and told us that there was something going to happen because of the Northern Lights. He said, you wait, there'll be a war. And then it wasn't long after that, about 2 weeks, within 2 weeks there were a war.
Mhm.
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor was bombed, December 7th. But
But I
Monroe
heard
was
that
3
people
days
over well, they said it was the end of time coming. And they got some prayed and some they couldn't. But we couldn't get scared because I remember we was laying by a window. Everybody was laying by a window. And I could see how light it was. Everything was just light. It seemed like it was just shaking, quivering. But I didn't say nothing to him. And I went in the kitchen before that, though, and Ruby was crying, and I told her to be just real quiet, that we couldn't do that because of Troy's injury.
Mhm.
And so I finally got her quieting down. She wanted to go home. She was so scared. She's only about 12 years old, I guess. And she wanted to go home, but we couldn't.
well, so you all lived at Allen when that happened, when Dad's injured, and it happened in August, but he still was not able to do much
No,
in
he wore
in
that
December. Okay.
Kept that band around your head for I forget. Seemed like 2 or 3 months, didn't it?
Longer than that.
Yeah, because if got
Kept his head tied
he
up.
got hurt in August, and the war started in December.
He still had that band around his head. And he'd go about every month, I guess. But they didn't change it for a long time, the bandage on his head.
Northern Lights was up on November.
But it's,
Dad, do you remember any of that?
oh yeah, you remember.
About that, yeah. Yeah, I remember when I got hurt.
Of course, we was all always afraid that he was gonna hurt his head. The children, we
Yeah.
all protected that, tried to. Doctor told him to wear a hard-hole cap the rest of his life. And he did wear it for a long time, but then Helen fell through the floor one time, porch floor there at Allen, and give us a scare. Crow run to catch her and run on the floor, and there was glass under there, and he, with his head the way it was then, we was afraid he'd bump his head.
I remember
And then
that.
she got a ring on her finger one time, Helen did. And I cried, and she did too, and I was afraid for her to go to sleep. And we both sat there in a rocking chair and cried till Troy got home, and all he did was take a pair of scissors and cut it.
Cut it off.
I remember that. Do you
No,
remember?
didn't cut the finger off
No,
now.
I
I cut
remember
the
that.
ring out of it.
But I
Piece-
never
piece
thought
of
about
tin
that. But they said to never let a child go to sleep. I
Yeah.
heard that.
Piece of
So I
tin.
wouldn't let her go to sleep. And her fingers swelled, because
I
I
remember
tried
that.
to get it off, and her fingers swelled.
Well, do you remember when Ruby was sweeping at the hearth and the broom caught on fire?
No,
That was at Allen.
That was so many things that happened. I remember James Skith getting his tongue on the fire screen. James Skith got Grace was sitting there, and every time anybody come, that's whenever he would show off more. He knows he did too, because
I know
he was the worst there was for that. And me and Grace was sitting there, and he got his tongue hung on a little split on the fire screen,
I remember that.
and scared me too. It almost went through his lip there.
I remember that. Just had a big time, didn't all those kids?
Well, it's big enough for us to have a big time.
With that many of you, somebody's always in something.
Yeah, there's always something other
Something
going on.
going on, but seemed like the children mind them. The older ones have to take care of the younger ones.
Yeah, that was the best.
Oh, they get out on the fence, the girls would. They'd get out on the post. We had a fence yard there at the old home place at Allen. And Jadelle had them all. They'd get up there and sing just as loud as they could sing, all of them would. And Miss Martin would get out over there at her porch and listen to them sing. They'd get in a swing, too, on the porch, swing and sing. It's all the time singing when they was out playing. Pretending they were having school or church. And I guess that's about all.
Well, now I'll tell you what we done. We had us a real nice time, see, of getting married. Now that was that was about as big a thing as it was. We went to school together. We just knowed each other, just seen, And I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought she was higher up than I was. Because she had nice clothes and all of that stuff, and so I thought that people that's above you, you don't want to jump in too quick. So after I quit going to school, went to school, and then I quit. At the end of the school, I went to got me a job. Warfield Natural Gas Company. When I done that, when we went to work was at Pike Fort Hollow. And they built us a pipe, they run a line around a slip. When I got that done, I thought that'd be the end of the job. So I got me a job, up Spurlock, hooking, going under the well, under the rig. Had to dig under the rig and hook it up to the line, to the well. Well, I got that done. We come down there below Printer, or below Troy Allen's, back on top of the hill there, and there was a well there they had never hooked up. So we went back there and hooked that one up. Got back off. Then we had other pipelines to run. And I just kept on with them. I stayed with them. And I stayed with them about 3 years, something like that. I got to be a regular fellow, but I was a truck helper. I was a truck helper, and I hauled pipe all up to Candy Creek School. Now, remember, Candy Creek School, when you got up to the edge of the school, after, I'll say at 8 o'clock at night, they didn't want nobody up through there. But we had to unload pipe when we could get there. So we got there after night and everything like that. And of course, I wasn't married, and so I don't know when me still dated then, not. But anyhow, got up there. Of course, them girls, they had these big red things around their neck and all that like that.
What kind of red
Boys,
things?
how's that, huh?
What kind of red things?
Well, it was just something that they wear,
Oh,
and they had white
uniforms.
stuff on. Yeah.
Tan.
Well, Miss Lloyd, didn't want nobody to wave at the girls or nothing like that. And so I was kind of a little bit, and I waved at them and this and that. And Miss Lloyd, she wrote a letter down there, and they had three wells to haul pipe for there. So we hauled that pipe in there, and then somebody told me, said, you can't go back there, you can't do that. You can't talk to how to wave them girls or nothing like that, because Miss Lloyd don't want that done.
Mhm.
Well, so we didn't do that anymore. So we got I went to other jobs. I helped move pipe into Martin County.
Well, you was working over there on the hill at Allen one morning day.
Yeah.
Day watching? For the gas company?
No, I was digging the line out over on the hill.
That was the time that the little boy come in
Little
and
boy
stole the gun.
stole the gun.
He come to the kitchen door and knocked, and I opened the door and he said, lady, can I come in and warm my feet? And I'm hungry. He said, I'm hungry, and I let him, yeah. I had, he wanted to go in and warm his feet, because he looked like his feet was wet, cold, so I told him where his fireplace was to go in. Well, he went in, but he didn't stay long enough for me to fix him something to eat. I had him a baked sweet potato and some biscuits and bacon. And he come back out before I got it fixed, and he acted like he didn't care much about taking that. He was in a hurry. And so he went out the door right quick, took the bag, and went out and jumped on the back porch and run. Well, something told me that something had happened. He got something or done something in there. I went in and looked, and we always kept a little pistol, a little small pistol, in one place on the starboard, on the mount. And it was gone. And I knew that he got it. He had to, because it was gone. And I run out through the front door, and Rain was sitting on Spurlock's porch down there, and I told him, I said, did you see the boy that was been up there? And he said, yes. I said, he was coming, running, and jumped off from the bank. He didn't take time to come with the steps. He jumped off from the bank down into the road and run around and told me where he went. And Raymond, I told him that he got Troy's gun, and Raymond took after him. Went down around the Y where the restaurant was, another restaurant. And Raymond caught up with him, and he just swore he'd get it. But he brought the little boy back up there to where I was at, and I said, you sure got that gun? He said, no, lady, I sure did not get that gun. And he just told me so instant that I was nervous as I could be. Because I thought, well, maybe, I said, well, I'll go back and see again. Well, I know it wasn't there. And Raymond held him to. I went back and looked. I knew he got it. So he went down, Raymond walked down through there with him, and he kindly looked under the floor, Raymond said, restaurant floor, and there was the gun. So Raymond got the gun, and we let the boy go, but I could have really whipped him right then at that time, because I thought that the the neighbors there, they was with me too, and I thought they'd think that I was telling a lie on him.
Mm-hmm.
That hurt me worse than anything. But we got the gun back, and it's a good thing we did, I guess.
Yeah.
He was a coffee.
He
His
probably-
children turned her loose over there in Hogwood, I think, so it is. Gaisport or something.
Of Martin, the Buck Branch where he lives from. Yeah, back up in
And
there.
it's just a bunch of children out
Well, can you tell us about when you all joined where y'all went to church and where you joined, when you were baptized?
there. We sort of joined the church, and then later I joined, but we were both baptized the same day at Salisbury, Printer, I guess.
But you don't belong there now. What happened to the church?
Church.
We're going to
burned
the
down.
Old Beaver.
And we moved up to Old Beaver Church at Mindy's. I don't remember it now.
Well, do you think Dad could, no, tell us about where you went to school. You didn't tell us that.
I went to Doyle Elementary School, so I don't think I went. Well, I went when the school was out. They had the 9-month school, but the 7-month school, I think it started before our school did. Yeah, well, I went to Bull Creek to go to school with Jack,
Yeah.
and I got homesick, and I could not. I was afraid of Jack McGuire. There was a shell-shocked man that lived on Bull Creek, and everybody was afraid of Jack McGuire. And we had to pace his house. And he would walk, he had a big long front porch and a house built like an old-fashioned house. And every time you go by that house, he was walking from one end of that porch to the other and looking right straight up and was talking, and he always wore a black suit and a black hat. He was a big-sized man, but they said he was shell-shocked in the war. Is what caused him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid, and I started crying. I didn't want to go to school. I was the only one in the 5th grade there anyway. And I got homesick. So that night, I was crying. Jack said, "Mom, she's a-crying." Said she cried all the way home from school. So Julie said, "If you'll hush, I'll have Toby take you back home the first thing in the morning." And boy, I was so pleased, but I didn't think I could spend the night hardly. I was so homesick. So the next morning, he missed school and took me back by horseback. Back to Doyle.
And where did you live there in Doyle at that time?
Right where Ernest's house, right there where Ernest's house is, at the top of Doyle. But I never went out in Doyle any because there's a few people out there that it was pretty rough. Mean place, we weren't allowed to go out in Doyle. The only time I went to Doyle was with Miss Hall, campaigning. Remember that?
Yep,
Riley was running
yeah, I
somewhere.
remember.
And we went over there, and that was the most I'd spent out in Doyle, only to get my hair cut by some lady that lived near the school.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough bunch back then. A lot of fighting. Almost like leaguing, but they didn't kill, did they? Old Doyle.
No,
One
they-
man was killed, though, I think,
Yeah.
over there. He was chopped with an axe, a porter.
Yeah. So when you all moved to Salisbury, didn't your parents move up there too? For a while?
Yeah, they stayed up there, I guess, about 2 years, maybe, did
something like that.
She dressed up as Santa Claus one year.
Yeah, Pap, he
They was in on something like that all the time. My parents were, and we
Well-
were scared all the time.
one time, Jay had come back from service, and so, well, first that, he come back, and we was over there, me and Stella was dating, and, Jay said, "Let's, have some fun." I said, "What are we gonna do?" He said, "We'll get Pap's mule," and said, you get on behind and turn yourself back, back the other way, and he would, he'd go that way.
And you all put on old hats. And
Put old hat, put old clothes on, and I had a guitar in the back, and he had one in front, and we was just going on like that.
It was a gentle mule.
And so we got down the road just a little piece there, and Pap, him and Fisher passed up, you know, and Fisher said to Pap, said, I'll tell you what, said, that is your mule. Pap said, Pop said, no, he said, that wasn't my
He
mule.
didn't know y'all did.
No, he didn't know us, because, see, we had clothes on there that nobody,
But Fisher knew the mule, didn't
yeah.
You knew.
He, so we goes on over there, over across the river, over to where, over Poppy's, around there, and we still, I behind, turned back the wrong way and him the other way, and we just knocking and going, went all the way out to the Y, and we had those,
had fun.
we had a lot of fun. People are looking, you know, and they didn't know what all was going on. And we got back up to Stella, and
My dad was just kind of along with it. He was
yeah, he
like-
laughed. He laughed because they told him that it was his mule. Then he found out it was me and Jay.
My dad was strict, but he liked to
He liked fun.
He liked music, and he liked to watch children dance.
Oh.
So one time there was a woman came, and she was a big, heavy woman. She was dancing. He didn't like that much. He didn't watch her, but he would give him a nickel or dime to get and set them on the table. And Anderson and Jay and all of them, they'd pick,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd watch children dance. He loved to watch them, and he'd tell Jay and them, now if you want to play the guitar and have good music, you've got to pat your foot and sing with it.
Mm-hmm.
He loved to hear him sing. Then he bought an organ for my older sisters, and we still had the organ back. I was raised up with it, but he bought them an organ for Marianne and Margaret, Dude we called it, and they said he whipped them one time. The people came wanted to hear him play,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want to play. So if they left, I reckon he whipped them because he couldn't get them to play the organ for him.
Okay.
It was a new organ.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
First time I went up to his house, me and Stella were dating out at John. We go up to John's house there, and
He lived out there.
well. So one day on Sunday, I decided that me and John would just go up there. We went up to Pap's up there. I always called him Pap. So he his cold fire, big fire and everything. Well, we went in there and I sat down in where the fire was at, and he was in there. All in well, a little bit. Why, I guess they went to church and come back and everything, got everything ready. He said, they said to her, dinner's ready. Well, whenever it done that, he got up, and I got up. All at once. Got up, I followed right behind him. Well, where we went right in, now you could go around behind and had chairs and things at the back or on the edge, anywhere you wanted to eat. But anyhow, when we went in, we just went straight in, and he sat down. And when I sat down right beside it, sat right beside it, and I said, I better sit down there with my father-in-law. He never said a word, not a word. But you know, after,
Were you married to Mother at the time?
no,
Oh.
we're dating. But after years, and we moved up to Salisbury, and he moved up there. And he's sitting down on a concrete pad where there was an old silo, and me and him was there talking. And he told me, he said, you know what? He said, when you went there with me and sit down there and eat, and you said what you did, he said, I thought anybody would sit down there beside me and just say that, he can have my daughter. But it wouldn't, he said, I didn't want him to have her. That's the words he told me.
Well,
That's kind of fellow he was.
He either thought you were brave or crazy.
Well, he knowed I was brave as could be.
well, tell us how your mother did meet.
How we met?
Tell us that, yeah.
Oh, well, this was It was in the, kind of in the summertime, and they had big meetings up, they had a mud, union meet, moral meetings and stuff like that on the cemetery where Joe Reynolds' funeral cemetery. I never will forget it. So I'd been over to the church and come back up Tackett Ford, over down to Robert Street, and I'll just tell you the truth about it, I had a girl friend. I went over there with her and back, and there was 2 or 3 more girls went too. Whenever I come back, why, me and her didn't hit it right or something that I didn't. If you don't like nobody, you can't. I mean, so we come back to Allen, and I guess Poppy or something. And I got back to Allen. Decided I would go down to Emma. I know it's time for church down there, and Stella and Sue's and some of them always went
On Sunday night.
on Sunday night.
What kind of church was it?
Methodist church. So I walked down there and got down there to Emma Bridge. There was 2 boys, 3, and I talked to them a little bit. And then I walked on over to the church house. And Stella and Sue's and I don't know who I was with, maybe Ruby and some of them. But anyhow, I got in there and sat down behind Stella and them in the next seat, joined right next to them. Well, they got done preaching and everything like that. I got up and got in the seat where Stella was at. See, I know to get him in there. So I got up in that seat and where she was at, and she went to go out the door and everything, and we just went together and got next to a little ditch. There's a little ditch between the road and the church house, and I kind of got her by the hand, and so I didn't want her to fall down. No,
You held that hand in something.
I held that hand
That hand,
all the way till I got
Doyle,
up to Doyle.
Did you walk down the railroad track or?
Yeah.
All the way, all up to
Then he had a lot-
from Emil to,
Then he went back home by the railroad, I guess, if didn't
yeah, I
cross the
did, that's the
river.
way I went, went on
Walked
up,
clear around
went
back.
all the way around,
Yeah,
come back. But,
a long ways.
we dated about 3 years, through the snow and the rain and everything. And whenever we decided to get married, now, see, we had it figured one way, we'd go down there and we would just get the license ourselves, me and her. And we went down there to where the old bus station was. Ken probably knows where it was at. Well, we went in the courthouse to get the license. And
You didn't have a bit of trouble here getting yours, did you?
never said a word to me.
But when it come to me, they asked how old are you?
Yeah.
I said, are you 21? I said, no, I soon will be. I said, I soon will be. But they still didn't.
Well,
I was about 19.
we come back out there and we was wondering what we was gonna do.
I was saying that she'd let me have him.
Come back out there in the bus station, we sat down in a booth, talking it over, what we was gonna do. Well, we saw John Dad and Peg, and we told John Dad what we was done.
But they told us to go back and get a written.
Written, yeah, from our parents. Get
I had to have a written.
Had
It
to have
was
a written-
signed by them.
written thing signed. But it went on to John, why, he went in there and he
And I'll
said,
get it.
well, I'll get it.
He signed. We made
He
a note.
signed,
He
we went in
signed
there.
them.
Whose name did he
I
sign?
think he put her dad, my dad's name down, didn't he?
No, he said,
Oh,
He's-
yeah, he said
he
she's
said,
staying with
she
me.
stays with me anyhow. And
I was
the
staying with
sister and everything.
He
So
signed
he signed it. He signed it. Well, we went and got married and so after, just like she said, we went to Stratton's and got it and got and all that. And so whenever we went, got next day, after we married, we went to Robinson Creek and got lumber for a truck. I bought a truck. And come back, and we had in mind, you know, we was going to just go, not let nobody know we got married.
We didn't want our parents to know.
And
I didn't want to stay with neither one of them.
so that evening when I come back, I went up over to Pap's. And when I went in there, Nancy said, "Now I've done heard all about it." I said, "Heard all about it." Yeah. Well.
She said, "You're just getting that bed back there."
Yeah.
She said, "You're just getting that bed." Said, "I've heard all about it."
All about you fellas. So Pap never said a
That was the
word
second
either.
night.
Poor Pap didn't. So we went on and went and got us lumber. I mean, we went and got that lumber, and then we had to went the next day or two up there to the bridge to get some, had some pieces of metals that twisted. It was twisted for the bridge that they used for, so when they go up on the board and then go down on the frame. And I was up there, and that's when they done made that picture right there.
Oh, man.
And so what we done, we went and moved up Robinson Creek to do that logging job. And we didn't have very much stuff, and she done told you what all we had. But she didn't tell you about having a little cabinet, little thing on the wall you put your dishes in, you know. And
It's a shelf now.
little shelf.
Wow.
And when we left there, we left that shelf with them. So, but now gasoline was 15 cents a gallon.
15
And I'd get it in a 55-gallon drum to fill my truck up and all that. That's only been right at 63 years ago. 63 years ago. This
23rd, that's be
23rd, that's 2 more days. So after we got the steel and that stuff, you know. Well, then we had a fellow named Ed Hall, and was up there, and he took this picture here, and as in about 1937, right the last of December, because we went and got lumber for to build the truck bed, and I got Jim Gunnels to come and build it. So but now we went then, after that we went to Wolf Pit and bought the house. We give $250 for the house, a big 2-story house. And we got Tan Cecil and two or three guys, and what they done, they tore it down and then brought it down to Allen's, and we built the house. And got a fellow named Earl Akers. He had never plastered much, none. He just learned it. So we got the Earl to plaster the place. But he was, then finally he done a lot of work for us after that, Earl.
And that's the house where Fred
Yeah, that's where
lived.
the house of Fred. Yeah, it's but now, after, well, I worked for the state, worked for Kentucky and West Virginia Gas Company, and I was all that. Done that, you know, for a long time under.
So now you all sneaked off and got married, or you got married and then you went back and her mom said she found out what you all had done.
That's exactly right.
You got a picture right there beside you of Stella's mom and dad. Would you hold that up for us?
I will. Right here they are, the two of the finest people that you'll find. You wouldn't have found no better people than that, because out there they are, and seems like to me it is just like my dad and mother.
She's holding her glasses in her lap. And I think that was after they got the children. She looked back
Yeah.
at it.
That's after your dad got him.
She died in
Well-
July. She died in July.
About what year was that picture taken, do you think?
I'll say about 1940. Let's see.
48.
Well, it was about 1945 or 46, because it moved from Salisbury back down and got Ernest. See, they had got this property off from Ernest. See, it was traded or somewhere and got it. So that's about what the year that was. So
So what was the church you got married in? What was the name of the church? Was the Church of God you got married at?
where's that? Where we got married? Well, what it was, we, Owen and John Lavins had an office. And we went to it and got the preacher there, and me and Stella and Peg and John. That's what you call a big wedding. Whenever you you have the wedding yourself. I mean, it's all. You know,
Who were your witnesses?
John Peg.
My brother
See.
John.
Do you know where your marriage license is now?
My wife's got. Yeah.
Do you know where it is still?
Phyllis has got it.
So you don't have any proof that two of you are married?
Phyllis has got it
my license.
in an old purse.
When we moved, we let Phyllis take a lot of our old stuff.
What do you mean when you moved?
Well, we're going to get copies.
When we moved down here from Elm,
What year was that?
90, wasn't it?
90, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we've been here 10 years. Lived in Floyd County all my life, 72 years, then moved down here and been here 10.
Let's let Dad tell his cow story.
Whenever when my daddy, both of us worked for the gas company, we'd get up about 4 o'clock in the morning. We had a lot of big hogs, really big hogs. So we went and I'd go out and build a fire, have it all ready, and the next morning I'd build a fire and get it water hot and everything like that. Then we would go and kill 2 hogs before we'd go to work over down at 8 o'clock. Scrape them. And in the evening he would cut them up, you see. He'd get them all ready, get ready. That just shows you how you work. He had us work. We asked him one time why that he kept us working all the time. He said, well, if you all the time working, you'll never get into no trouble. So I guess that
He
was
said
right.
that he had to move from Bud Creek because he thought the boys was going to get in trouble. There's so
killed
much
at Liggins.
killing up there. He
I
said,
had much killing and the things going on at Liggins by he told some of them that he wanted to get his kids out of the mud. But
Well, tell us about when you and Cecil were little and you, what Poppy had you doing your job, something about the cows.
well, Poppy all the time buying a lot of cows. He went, cattle was cheap. You know, you can buy big cows and all. They'll give you a calf to get rid of it, you see, because didn't have no market to take it to. So Poppy, he'd go over in Virginia and places like that and buy cattle and all that, buy milk cows, a lot of them. But down there, right below where we lived, a man was named Red Andy Hamilton. And he had big red cow, and she had 1 tip. I mean, she had 4, but one's the only one that would give the milk. That's the only one, just that one. Well, I learned that she had milk, and I could squirt the milk you know, from her tit, long, maybe 50, 25, 30 feet. And so old Cecil, he'd get one of the others, you know. So when Cecil be milking them others, he'd squirt on me. I'd just take that old big red cowboy. I could just really like a fire department hose through there. But boy, he didn't like it. But well, finally, I mean, we was supposed to milk them cows, and the water. I mean, the milk was to be fed to them pigs and hogs. But we was having fun with it. You see,
Yeah.
We done that a long time. Cecil was a good. Me and him, we was just like one. I mean, till when we left had a mud by then I took up with Holly more, you know. And the reason I lost my job was had a wreck, tore the truck up,
How'd you do that?
well, I was going to Pikeville to get some new tires for to put on my truck, because the truck was been took up Martin, and so the fellow that's supposed to be the driver, he let me do the driving. And I got right below Banner, and got along the edge of the road. Something there was a little narrow, and I got to the edge, and it just went over into there's a culvert with a head wall, and it hit that there and turned it upside down.
Mm.
And when I done that, why, only way I could get out was the little back glass behind. If it just come on down and mashed it down, I could have got out. But all the glass, both doors smashed down, and the windshield was all the way down to the plumb level. Only way that I could get out was the little thing. So I lost my job with United Fuel then, Warfield, because see, when they didn't have the truck, so I didn't have the job. And the other fellow lost his job too, the fellow I was with. So, but I've worked more for the good company, but Bill Compton was the boss, and he was as good a man as I ever worked with. He's one to give me the first job. He'd give me all of it. So another good fellow I worked for was Speed Harris, and before I got hurt, Speed had a brand new Ford truck, and I'd been working for him, and I told him, I said, Speed, I'll work for you till I go back to the mines. And so he sent me to go get some perforated pipe over in inside of Prestonsburg. So come back along, the winter it was slick. It was slick, and a fellow named Yerp Kahn was behind me. And I had this joint of pipe, and it got right where the Emil Bridge right now.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes Jerry Ranimer and Grace in a pickup truck. And whenever they come down through there and they hit that ice, and they hit the hill, they come back and hit my truck. And my truck, see, I didn't have no control of that truck in. And when it hit there, it went into the hill and tore the truck up. Well, that pickup truck that they had, it went around and around like that, and both of them fell out in the middle of the floor, in the pavement.
Yeah.
And Europe Kahn was my witness, you know, of what had happened and everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you weren't hurt, but they were.
I wasn't hurt, but they was laying on the pavement. Yeah, they come
They
in.
were?
Well, tell us about that time that you were driving that truck.
And the cow?
Well, and you, yeah.
Well, we was up there, we'd been up ahead of Beaver and come back down down to Garrett. So it was in the evening, we'd unloaded our load and come on down through there. When it got down to below Garrett there a little bit. So here comes an old cow out of a holler. Well, the fellow was driving the truck with me. He got in the wrong lane. He got over on the opposite side. Well, there's a fellow from Louisville. He was a tooth salesman. I mean, that was for to go take to a dentist or to where they make it.
Yeah.
So here he comes out. He gets on our side. He gets on the opposite side. But by the time he got over there, we had done it hit him.
Oh.
A brand new 1935 Ford.
Hmm.
And it went right down in a holler down in where the old cow come out, down in there, kind of. And our truck hit the cliff and tore the whole side. Well, my buddy, he got out, and I knowed he didn't have no false teeth. And I know I did. Well, he said to me, he said, get them teeth. Well, I looked to see, looked at him, and he had his teeth and everything. And I thought he knocked out.
Yeah.
Or somebody wanted. I thought that my buddy was. I thought he was knocked out because he told me about the teeth. So I goes over there and I looked down in that holler, down in the place. I bet you that I couldn't put them in my arm like that. Broke the false teeth and fell out of that car down in there. So we took the binders and pulled the front of the truck back. It sure the center bolt, and we took and pulled it back to the bumper and all that. Got it back to Allen so the next day, so we got it worked and fixed. Yep. That old cow though, when that cow we hit, it went plumb over on the railroad. That was this side of
Did it die?
we don't know.
Oh, okay.
We don't know what the
Another day.
yeah. I used to move people up there down. I moved people up to Marshall, up Marshall, Michigan, and all up in there. So I went up through there and I took, seemed like James A. Wright furniture. And so coming back, I saw a pony. I'd saw the pony before because I'd been back up there with a load. And as I come back, I looked out there and there was that pony, and I stopped and I asked that lady, I said, would you sell that pony? And she said, yes, I would. And I said, well, how much you want for him? And she told me, I believe it was about $100. So she said, I'll have to call my husband. Well, I said, what does he do? She said, he's a guard at the penitentiary. Jackson is a state penitentiary there. So I got that pony and loaded it up. Little Dobie. Never will forget the name. Little Dobie was his name. So got in that, got the pony going, and got over into Toledo. Was going down through there, and another little boy, he had this little pony, and he was going down through there, and I said, "What do you take for that pony?" He said, "No, I won't sell. Listen," said, "I got one up there at the house." So I turned around and go back up there, and I looked in there, and that pony, and I bought it for, I believe, about $75. I put it in the truck. Come on down in Ohio and bought me some hay and stuff like that. Filled it up, to come bring the hay back. Then when I got down to Allen, the next morning I was had the pickup truck. So I got to pick up and started with the two ponies up Beaver Creek. Got up to Salisbury and stopped at Rand's Spurlock store. Well, Henry Porter was there. And he comes out there and he said, "Whose ponies?" I said, "They're mine." He said, "How much you want for them?" Well, I didn't know. I said, $100 a piece or something. And he said, well, I just need one. I'll just buy one. And he just grabbed a knife or something other, and he just cut that pony's tail off. Told me, he said, you go down there at Martin and get your money. Well, I couldn't say nothing. So I take this other one over to Fed's and let Fed have it. But the trouble I got into one time was a fellow named old man Fraser up there at Martin. He had a mines and he had some ponies. And he wanted me to sell them for him. Well, I got this pony. One of them had a crooked foot, and the other didn't have it. It was a good pony. I got up there to one of them Hobart boys at the mouth of this side of McDowell, and I see a new chute, brand new chute, coming down that hill. And I hollered at him. I said, "Hey, you want to buy a pony?" He said, "I sure do." He said, what length it was, how high? I said, "I believe it's 41 or 42. He said, "That's what I need." Well, I unloaded it for him. Told me where to go get my money down in Martin. But they had stole the ponies over in Letcher County and over in there and brought them down to Martin and sold them. I didn't know that. Well, here, I went all around the Fed and brought that crooked foot one, back over to Allen. Had it in the stockyard the next morning. So the next morning, I was in there, and then the fellow come down there, and he said, "Hey," he said, "why you take for that pony?" And old man Fraser give it to me because it sold the other. And I said, "Well, I'll take $100. He said, "I'll give you $100 if you can get it in the car." So I takes it up right where we used to live, there at the Y, and I got him on the right hand side, and they opened both doors. They had a 4-door car, and whenever I went through there, well, that pony come in too, but when they got on the other side, it shut the door, and he couldn't get that. He couldn't get out, shut the door down. There he was, he stuck his head out, and so but then.
He bought it for his children.
Then after that, a Salisbury. There was a Salisbury. He was a deputy sheriff, and so about 2 or 3 days after that, he comes up there and he said, "Troy," he said, "you know that you were selling stolen ponies?" I said, "No, I didn't know." I said, "Whose pony? Where's it at?" He said, "The one you sold at Hobart up there." Well, I said, "Now, Will Fraser, who I got that pony from, and I just sold it for him." Well, he said, "The people over in Letcher County bought the pony back." I said, so I went down there to Will and told him. Will said, "Well, let's forget about it. I've done paid them back for the money and all that, and they got the pony." That's where I got in the money. Pony bits.
Well, now the man that got the little pony that had the leg, didn't you say he got it for his children?
Yeah, he got for children. That's right. Yeah. So see, what it was that the people that had that pony, they didn't didn't shoe it. They just let the feet just grow out, and it just growed out the wrong way. But Arthur Carter got me into something that I didn't know. We went to Mount Sterling. We went down Mount Sterling down there, and fellow Raymond Goodpasture. Raymond Goodpasture, he had some ponies, and so we went down there, and here he had a mule, old man Arthur Carter. So it's coming back, Arthur, he got him something to drink and all that stuff. And I brought the pony, mule, it was a mule. And I brought it up to Al, up Salisbury. So Fred Kahn, he was the one that was driving it in the mines, all called. So I told Arthur told me, he said, now you tell Fred that you're the one that's taking care of this from you. So I told Fred, I said, Fred, you see how he works with you? I didn't tell him mine or nothing. I said, you just see how he works. And if he does good, I said, Arthur, he'll like it. Something like that. So he take that pony and took that mule in there. Well, he got back in there, and that mule had been over in Letcher County. He'd been everywhere. He had just about killed everybody that ever had. And he told me that when he went tied it to a car, that his heels, back heels, could hit the roof kicking. And so come back out. Never will forget it. Fred come to the outside. He said, it's all right. It's all right. That's all he said. He said, it's all right. And his, of course, Fred, I mean, old man Arthur Carter, he'd already paid for it anyhow for that fellow, you know. But we found out that little mule had whooped more people out of the mines than ever did. And you know, they learned that they eat tobacco.
Oh my.
Yes, sir. There was something other. If there was a cigarette butt on the ground, and you come out with a load, they'd hunt for the cigarette butts and things like that. Them mules would, them ponies would.
They were addicted.
Yeah. They was. But I like to trade. That's one thing I like to do. I like to trade. I made a lot of money trading. Sure did. Yeah. Bought had a fellow one time. He had some cattle. Had some cattle up on Brush Creek, and he was there at the stockyard, and he hadn't bought them cattle, and he told me, he said, would you want to buy some cattle? And I said, yeah.
Okay.
And he said, when could you come and look at them? And I told him, I said, oh, probably in the morning. So his brother had the cattle, and he goes and buy them cattle that evening. Took them over in a pasture. I went over there, come back, bought them, then bought 2 cattle off and that other, the one that had the black cattle. I bought 10 black cattle and 3 whiteface off in Willard Hicks. Raymond's, I bought the black ones off from Raymond and then Willard. And his Willard, that boy, he runs a barbershop down down
Stolen?
Lancer. Huh?
They weren't stolen?
No, they was good people. They wasn't stealing. I kind of keep away from that stealing stuff. But the worst I ever got into, me and an old man in the East Step, we went and walked, I guess, 7 or 8 miles over in Licking River and all through there trying to buy some cattle, and got up to back on ahead of Grassy. And here come this feller, this Hicks, come down the hill. So when he come down the hill, he had this calf. And so put it in my pickup. Right at that time, we just walked that calf till we got to the pickup. When we got to the pickup.
This is going to end this tape. We better shut it off now and stop it.